perhaps the most successful varsity girls basketball program in the history of New York State. Sincere thanks also to Chet Kerr, who has been the indefatigable technical director behind the scenes. I'd also like to give a shout out to 4 of the NBA's finest and most patient technicians, Ian, John, Gary, and Jose. Thanks for helping us out. And of course, thanks to all of you, and there are well over 300 of you from all over the country for tuning in today. I'd like to begin with a bit of a historical perspective. As you know, the 19th Amendment 100 years ago constitutionally extended the right to vote to women. Well, as it turned out, to most women. If you were an African-American woman in the South, you probably weren't able to vote until the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Indeed, Native American women, Hispanic women, and Asian American women were also denied the right to vote due to state laws. Fast forward to 1972 when Title IX was enacted into law. Title IX prohibits federally funded educational institutions from discriminating against students or employees based on sex. That meant, for example, that no longer could schools offer sports or other programs for boys only if the school wished to receive federal funding. Some of the younger members of this audience might find this hard to believe, but when I graduated in 1971 from high school, we had one girl sport. 6-person basketball where girls could not cross half court. Our presentation today harks back to those days before 1972, the years during Title IX's rather shaky implementation during the 70s and what it looks like today. Today's panel participants then might be considered living history. They will share what their experiences during the past 50 or so years have been like, and they will examine those experiences through an Irvington lens. I find it hard to believe that there are many towns anywhere who would be able to pull off something similar. It is an honor then to present our panelists. Gina Maher has coached at Irvington for the past 50 years and has been an extraordinary role model, not only for those who have played varsity girls basketball. Her considerable influence also extends to those who have been part of her girls tennis teams, as well as those who competed on her girls track and field teams. I will not go through her astonishing record. That would not only embarrass her, it would take up the entire program. Furthermore, she would never talk to me again. But I will say that she has had a profound and lasting impact on literally thousands of young women. And I know she is more proud of that than anything else. Carol Dyer is one of Gina's best friends, having started at Irvington as a coach and physical education teacher shortly after Gina arrived in the 1970s, and has been by her side ever since as a colleague, buddy, and diehard fan. Gina will tell you that Carol is loyal, trustworthy, kind, and honest. Those of us who are lucky enough to know her would concur with that description. She loves kids and sports, believes strongly in the concept of family, and has been taking memorable photographs of Irvington athletes and teams, as her husband Bill would say, forever. Kathy Behrens graduated from Irvington in the early 80s and played for Gina for 4 years. Her teams won sectional titles each of those years. She played softball and basketball for 2 years at the University of Hartford. After college, she was the executive director of the nonprofit New York Cares and later became part of Mario Cuomo's administration. She's a member of the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame and is currently the president of the Social Responsibility and Player Programs for the NBA. You can let her know later if you're looking for Steph Curry's autograph. She lives in Irvington and has 2 middle school children in the Irvington School District. BJ Toolan Constantine also played for Gina and was a key component of Gina's first state title team, and then an assistant coach for the 5 which followed. After Irvington High School, she started Trinity College and was inducted into their first Sports Hall of Fame class. She has been Gina's assistant coach the past 17 years. She is adored by her players and could probably beat any one of them in a game of one-on-one. She is a physical therapist who also lives in Irvington and has 3 school-age children. All told, these ladies have about 121 years of going to the Irvington varsity girls basketball hoops. One quick note about this presentation. If you have any questions, please make use of the chat button, and time permitting, your questions will be addressed at the end of the program. Now, please join me in welcoming the ladies of the Court of Irvington.
All right. I am going to take it from there. Thank you, Dr. Mosenthal, my former English teacher and high school principal, and good friend. I want to echo a couple of thanks that Mo gave. First, we want to thank the Irvington Historical Society, especially Dr. Mosenthal and Chet Kerr. They helped put this show on, and they do a lot of great work as volunteers, as do so many other people in Irvington for the Irvington Historical Society. So if you're thinking about your year-end giving, you can make a contribution to support the great work that the Irvington Historical Society does. So thank you for having us and for putting this show together. Scott mentioned that I've gotten some help from some NBA colleagues helping with the program production. So I thank them as well. They show me every day how great it is to work at the NBA and to rely on colleagues to do programs like this. So our goal today, we are going to try to share some of our favorite memories of being involved in the Irvington girls basketball program. We're going to try to have some laughs along the way. Hopefully they won't be all inside jokes and stories, because we could tell a lot of those on each other. Scott mentioned that if you have some questions, you can use the chat function. I'll try to take a peek as we go, or we'll save some to the end. But we'll certainly do our best. And we know that we could talk for hours about our friendships, about our history, about Irvington girls basketball. But to try to keep it organized, we're gonna essentially go through 3 different segments, and we're gonna share some videos and photos and talk a little bit about our experiences. The videos and photos both will help tell the story and hopefully jog our memories a little bit. And so our first segment will take us back to where this all started, otherwise known as the early days. So let's show the first video. All right. Well, that I think shows how it all began. But Gina, we're going to start with you, and obviously because this whole thing started with you. But I want to, before we talk about Irvington basketball, Scott Mosenthal mentioned Title IX in 1972, and you played basketball before Title IX even came around. And Carol, I know you did too. So let's talk about basketball before Irvington. What was it like, Gina?
So before Irvington, I played a little bit of CYO in grammar school, and then I went to high school and played high school basketball in the CHSAA, which is a pretty big league. But in those days, we played basically 3-on-3 basketball. We didn't run the full court. There were 3 people that shot on a team, 3 people that guarded on a team, and that was it. They basically did not think we were strong enough to run the full court. We were obviously strong enough to have babies and raise children, but not strong enough to run the length of a basketball court. But I think I was very lucky because I had an opportunity to start and play a game, and the coaches were amazing and taught me to be hopefully a strong woman.
Indeed, they did. Carol Dyer, did you play some hoops back in the day?
I also did play the CYO scene, but in my high school, they didn't have basketball, and they ran like a demonstration, they called it, which is comparable to like our sports night that we ran for all those years. But we had rovers. We had a roving forward and a roving guard who could run the floor. So it was a little different, but we also only had those 3 dribbles, which, didn't make us all very good dribblers.
We only had 2 when I started.
2. Hey, so I really was advanced.
We could talk about this later. I would have liked some of that lack of defense expectation, but
you could have just been forward. You would have loved
exactly. All right, now let's talk about Irvington. Gina, first, you moved to Irvington in 1975. Why did the family move to Irvington?
Basically, I moved to Irvington because my sister lived here and she taught here, and I had come up and watched some little league things and CYO things in Irvington. There was no place else I wanted to go.
Kathy Kiernan, your sister was a teacher at Dow's Lane, right?
33 years, yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, so tell us how you got hired to be the basketball coach and how you dragged Carol Dyer along with you.
It sort of connects a little bit. Again, I go back to CYO, which is a great program. And there was a woman that I met in church. Her name was Maureen Sweeney. And I had played against her in high school. And she said, hey, they need a high school.
Maureen Sweeney played basketball?
She sure did. It's at St. Jean the Baptist.
Beautiful.
Right.
And she asked me if I'd be willing. She knew I had done some coaching before. If I'd be willing to coach the high school CYO team, and I jumped at the chance. I had lived in Irvington for about 3 weeks at that time, and I coached that team. And that team, when they became seniors, their coach left very, very quickly, and they went to Harold Mazzaris, a wonderful, wonderful athletic director, amazing man, and said, "We have a coach for you." So it's really Peggy and Patty and Beth and Judy and all those girls that really got me my job. And I had an interview that lasted about 5 minutes with Harold Mazzaris, and I've been here ever since.
So when that happened, Carol, were you the high school PE teacher?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Her second year. And that was kind of funny because Harold, I had come up and I was looking to sub. I had moved up from Long Island. Irvington was upstate as far as I was concerned, coming from Long Island. And Harold, I met with Harold about subbing, and I had been coaching at my old school in Massapequa. And he sent me over to Gina because she was looking for the JV coach, and she met me at the door. We were going to have coffee together. And once we looked eye to eye and spent about 5 minutes, I was in. So that was it. And that's where the friendship began, 2 tall women.
There you go. All right, so let's. I want to go back to that first team just for a second. So let's show the first photo. We saw it in the video, but here is what we knew them. Those of us who came after this team knew them as the 76ers because that's what they would say they were. And obviously there are some familiar faces. Gina, I am not sure what sweater you're wearing, but we could talk about the outfits this whole presentation. But
I wasn't sure if that was Gina or John Denver in the middle.
It's a little bit of both, but let's talk about who's on there that people are going to remember back in the Irvington days.
Okay, so standing right next to me, number 44 is Judy Greenfield. Her family was known all over Irvington and lived across the street actually from Harold Mazzaris. And down on the bottom there, the 3 people in the middle are Debbie King, Patty Smith, and Peggy Hickey. And they're really the core of the people that got me from CYO into basketball. They were a great team, by the way. They were 14-1 and lost in the finals of sectionals, and it was an open sectional. It wasn't a real sectional in those days. And they all went on to play basketball and raise kids that play basketball and raise girls that are now coaching in Section 1.
Let's see the next photo because I think we have a couple of action shots of them.
There they are.
That's Patty, right? And Judy?
Yeah, Patty was my first point guard and Judy was my first center.
Excellent. Next one is actually someone I ended up playing with. We're going to talk about that for a second, but Lisa Arnold, right?
Lisa Arnold, and you did play with her the following year. Yeah, she was a junior on that team, and then you played with her the following year.
All right. Let's take the photo down, and then I want Gina, you and Carol to just talk a little bit about the challenges. Not just, you were coaching sports. Carol, you were the PE teacher. By then you became the full-time PE teacher.
Yeah.
I know that it wasn't always sort of equal treatment and that you were fighting not only for your for the girls, but just sort of for sort of respect and recognition, and talk about that a little bit, what that was like back then.
Well, we certainly didn't have equal time always, and uniforms, which I think you wore for volleyball, basketball, and maybe even softball. It was like the same polyester dark green uniform, and that was hard. And we also didn't make the same pay as Scotty Moe made. I mean, I was comparable to him, and we didn't make the same amount of money. But finally, that did change for us. But it wasn't easy. And even Kathy, from being in phys ed, like with intramurals and stuff. We were the way school was structured then, everybody did intramurals at lunchtime, boys and girls. And we wound up having some really fun times, especially that floor hockey team. Let us not forget. So it was a little bit different
sport of all time, floor hockey.
We loved it. But, we also had segregated classes, girls and boys, which actually I think in many ways was better for the girls, because they really got to play more. I think when I got into when I came back and at the high school level and we were playing, integrated with the boys, a lot of times the girls don't want to participate because they're embarrassed. And then we would go girls, boys, and I'd get a lot more out of the girls at that point. So that was that. Right. What do you say, Gina?
What do you think, Gina?
About the volleyball net?
I agree. Yeah, volleyball, exactly. So Carol and I coached volleyball together, and we would have to put the net up every day, because the gym class, there was no way, it was a girls' sport, no boys played volleyball, so it was up to us. And we'd be in the middle of the game, the net would fall down, and we would go and hold it up or pick it up. But you know what? In the end, maybe that was good for us, because it made us fight harder. But it made the girls on the team appreciate more where we had to go and what we had to do to have equal time and to have equal sports for women in Irvington High School.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Right. I know BJ's like, I want to jump in on some of this, but you're going to have to wait a second.
Yes.
The older people are coming first. So
I love that it's ahead of my time.
All right. So a next momentous occasion occurred in 1977.
You came.
Kathy Behrens moves to Irvington from the Bronx. Let's show the next photo.
Because I remember seeing you.
And, I haven't jumped that high since that day.
I remember when you came into the gym at lunchtime and you were shooting around with John Delaney. And I told Gina, man, this girl is good. We got to get her playing for us. She's pretty good.
Well, so that is
you moved
in Valhalla. So my family moved to Irvington, and I it was just both between the basketball team and Carol's office. I found a home. But let's see this. I want to show this next photo too, though.
That's amazing.
So two things there. First of all, the ball is the size of my head.
Right.
Because we played with I mean, it wasn't this big, but now they have a smaller ball for girls, which I think I am for. But in that picture, the referee wearing a skirt. I mean, you would never, aside from the fact you would never see that today. That's not just any referee. Gina, who is that?
Oh, so this sort of carries everything together from the beginning. So when I was in high school, the woman that is reffing right there also did officiating in New York City, and she reffed many, many, many of my games. I go to college, and who's my basketball coach?
Where'd you go to college?
Same woman. I went to Marymount College, and basketball for women in colleges was almost unheard of in those days. And she was one of the forerunners, and she and some other people, they formed a Hudson River League, but we also played St. John's and places like that. Her name is Mary Gilhooly, and she was certainly a pioneer. And she ended up being the head of BOCES in the late, I guess it was in the 70s and 80s. But it tells the whole story from when I was in high school, when I wore a skirt like that to play.
Yes.
So her reffing, and you guys have matching uniforms that do not match, to be my college coach, and then having a high position in the BOCES program. So that's really how far women have come from the late 1950s, 60s to the present day.
And let the
I just want to inject,
by the way, that she didn't give us any favoritism on any calls.
No,
she was a good ref. I remember her. She called travel on me once or twice.
Oh, okay.
Carol.
Well, what I remember too, when we first started, Gina, there were a lot more women
Yes.
Coaches and officials than now. And I think that's, it just says a lot. It just is how it's changed. And now I have to say in the last 5 years or so, I think there have been more women coaches, not necessarily officials, but certainly coaches, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I totally.
All right, let's look. Let's look at this next photo. Because this highlights, we just talked about this. The three, so this is Kathy Behrens, Lisa Arnold, and Martha Campbell. The three of us are not even wearing the same shorts. So our uniform, I'm not even sure those jerseys match, but like we all had different, like our uniforms didn't even match. You would never have that today.
Yeah.
Next one. Let's look at this next one. This is me and my PE teacher.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I look awful there, but Carol, you have not aged. So go to the next one.
Okay.
So I just want everybody to know, people think about Bill Dyer, Irvington legendary football coach, Bill Dyer, girls basketball coach. What team was Bill coaching there? Is that the JV team?
Freshman. That's a freshman team with Martin DeRose, with old Marty DeRose.
With Martin
there
DeRose.
as the assistant.
All right, we're going to go to the next one, and then let's show one more photo there.
Okay.
That's a funny.
We had fun. That was lots of fun in those days too.
Lots of laughs, great laughs. All right, take the photo down. Now we're going to start to talk about BJ. We're going to pull BJ in here.
Please,
so
take your time, ladies.
No, because BJ, like a lot of people, frankly, in the program, older sisters, younger sisters, parents. BJ, your sister Kathy Toolan, who was in one of those pictures, played for Gina, and so you started out as a spectator, wanting, I know, to play because you were a little gym rat. But tell me what you were thinking about as you were watching Kathy play.
All right, first off, to be in a panel room with these three ladies, excuse me, I'm the fourth, is unbelievable for me. I still feel like that kid, like the first time I meet Gina Maher, I think I'm 11 or 12 years old at the most. Her skirt is probably taller than me at that point. That was the style back then. And I am just in awe. I'm in awe. I'm in awe of her. I'm in awe of Carol. The girls on the team, forget it. It's starting in 1984. These girls started to win sectional championships with one hand tied behind their back. It was like, how could you not automatically be attracted and love like being in the gym with this group, And Kathy graduated in 1987. I mean, I was at every one of her games. I saw the blood, I saw the sweat, and I saw the tears, and I saw how they came this close to getting a state title. And I said, oh my God, don't let that be me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy, she's going to kill me for that. I don't think she's watching, but
we're going to send this tape to her.
Yeah, exactly. But so it was just, being in the presence of greatness. And it's, it's so hard not to emulate these ladies because there's so many, adjectives: loyal, dedicated, persistent, loving, you name it. Any good adjective that you can think of is how I would describe Carol and Gina.
Aww.
Well,
thanks,
I think they would say the same for you. So
Absolutely.
You just talked about you didn't want to lose, but of course you did lose a little bit, right? You got close.
We did lose a little bit. So my sophomore season, we get up to the state rounds, and we ended up losing in the semifinal there, right, Gina?
Finals.
Yes, in the finals, yeah.
And I'm young then, but and most of you know this about me, I hate to lose.
Really?
We all
share, but go ahead.
The only people that hate to lose less than me are right here, or more than me. I don't know how to point. Anyhow, nobody takes it worse than Gina Maher, but anyhow, that's another story for another time. We're still not getting over a couple of the losses in the last few years. So we get up there my sophomore year and we lose, and then forget it. Like it was like laser focus for the next, 6 months over the summer. We're working, we're playing, we're just practicing. We have our eyes set. And then I open my big mouth when the reporter asks me when we get up there, the second year, my junior year, and I go, there's no way we're leaving here without a state title. And that's what's in the papers, and I have it still to this day. And I'm glad it came to fruition.
So let's show this next photo.
Oh,
here we go. 1990.
Here we go.
Yeah, they are. Aww.
Everything, right? You won it all?
Yeah. Listen, we get the federations in there too. I mean, it it was just a dream come true at that point, you know. And I always say, like, you know, we came so close the year before. So there was people on that team like Steph Golan, like we said, we did it for them, but it was really for everybody up till this point that we won the state title. And, you know, it wasn't, you know, without our fearless leader, you know, she took us there and she believed in us. And, you know, she was the one really that, you know, that we were following, and, you know, we couldn't let her down and we couldn't let ourselves down, you know.
But, you know, back then too, the sectional games were played at Purchase. We didn't play at County Center, the girls. And Gina, if I'm correct, that there's the gold ball, but it was purchased by the Coaches Association, if I'm correct on that, not by the section. And then your federation game, well, first of all, the state game was played at Queensbury, not at Glens Falls where the boys were in a high school. And then the federation game was in like some Catholic school gym with a stage. It was like folding chairs on the side. So things sure have changed. Thank God.
So, but perfect segue. Let's take this photo down. And we're going to go to the next segment, because we just talked about the first of the great teams. And now we're going to talk about some of the rest of the great teams. So let's play the next video.
Aww. Aww.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, the fighter, dancing through the fire. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me
Ooh, I like that.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I mean, that gave me some chills right there.
Yeah.
I watched it all day.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I want to start with I want to go back and then go ahead. So let's just show this photo, just because this is special to me. Not only because BJ's hairdo is fantastic in that photo, and the outfits on this crew
Why didn't anybody tell me?
this is legendary.
And Gina's hiding as usual.
Gina's hiding back there. But I do. This was one of the most special days for me, because Scott mentioned this, but that's my former boss, Mario Cuomo. I was working for the governor at the time, and it took everything to get my colleagues to get this on the governor's schedule, because they were like, oh, you can't see every team. I was like, I know, but this is my team. This is my school. And so we spent some time visiting the governor at his Albany office, and super fun, and just one of my all-time favorite days. So you could take that down.
No. It was an amazing day, and it was very, very nice to have an in of Kathy Behrens being up with the governor and stuff. And Phil DeRocco hired a bus, and we all rode up, and we went in front of both houses. And then Mario had us all into his office. I don't know if you remember this or not, but he tossed a ball to, I think it was Lisa Friedlander, and said, okay, this is the situation. What would you do now? And she, he wanted to know what the whole play was. He was a total basketball fan.
I think he made them run an out of bounds play or something. He was he loved basketball. So it was
a day that I think those girls will never, ever, ever forget. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, on me either. It was super fun. All right. So, but truthfully, I did lie a little bit, because I said this started the winning, but the truth is as always, there's some losing involved too. And I'm not ashamed to correct Scott Mosenthal's introduction of me. I never won a sectional title in Irvington. I feel like I won was a part of all the things you've won, but I wasn't on any of those winning teams, but you win then in 90, you win everything. So you have the expectations and experience of winning, but then you have some frustrations, right? And you had some rough years. So let's talk about how do you manage that as a coach, and then BJ, let's all jump in a little bit and talk about how the game started to change and more girls were playing like AAU, and travel ball started to come in around that time. So give me something there, Gina.
Yeah, okay. So I think that winning is great, and I agree totally with that. But I also think there were years that were very, very difficult. And BJ and I were talking about this recently, and how those teams were no less than the teams that won states and federations. And in fact, in some ways, they were tougher women. And they came to practice every day, and they practiced very hard. We were put in a league across the river with schools that were bigger than we were, and there were Catholic schools involved in it. So the competition that they were facing was a little bit harder, but they never gave up. And there was the team that probably had maybe one of the worst records in all my years of coaching at Irvington. I think the team dinner at the end of that year, and BJ, I think you'll agree with me, was one of the best dinners I've ever been to, because the girls were so happy because we were better at the end of the year than we were at the beginning of the year. And I believe they bought into what BJ and I were teaching and saying that, if you lay down and you don't do what you have to do, what are you going to do in life? What are you going to do when your child gets sick? You can't just say, oh, woe is me. You have to go ahead and do it. And I think that's what it's all about. And I think that's what empowering women are about. And so as tough as those years were, they were also very gratifying because the kids kept working very, very hard. And again, we were becoming more equal with the boys. We were starting to be accepted into county center. We were getting the gold ball, as Carol said, and things like that. So there was great progress in a lot of areas.
BJ, you saw a lot of more activity, more participation in like AAU, and travel teams started to develop then. What was that, both good and bad? What was your sense of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kath, when you and I played, and for everybody who played before me, there wasn't much AAU. There was CYO, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And that was, that is currently the big feeder program into our program. But I can remember, probably like, I don't know, 2003, 2004, right around then, AAU becomes a big thing, and the girls are, moonlighting, so to speak. They're going a little bit to AAU, they're coming to us, maybe they're getting hurt with AAU, we don't like that, they're coming to us and complaining about, their injury they got on AAU, but Gina and I are just trying to ignore it, AAU, we hear those three letters driving us crazy. And the biggest part, and I respect Gina so much for this, so we were standoffish a bit, like when the kids would bring their plays from AAU and they would show us how to do things. Oh, my AAU coach does it this way, or we have to, for AAU we do it this way, and Gina and I would look at each other and be like, listen, when you're here, it's all about what we want to teach you, And I remember there was a year, it was probably 2005, 2006, right around there. Then all of a sudden something clicked, and Gina especially became more open, and she would ask the girls, and she would say stuff like, show me how you guys do it in AAU, show me one of your drills. And, and then I think the girls appreciated that too, to be honest, because they are torn between, listening to their high school coaches and their AAU coaches. But, the fact that, we've become more accepting of these, everybody now plays it. So it's, it's very fortuitous for us. They're getting year-round workout, when back in the day, we were 3-sport athletes, I played volleyball and softball, in my off season. I wasn't playing basketball. So, these kids are playing year round, and that's one of the benefits for us. They're in good shape, and they do learn from their AAU coaches, whereas at first we were a little standoffish. Now it's nothing but a benefit for us.
Gina, how do you feel about that year-round one sport? Because we've had this discussion many times.
We talk about, I really like it when athletes play more than one sport. I think it's better for them physically. I think it's better for them mentally. And I think it helps everybody. I'll just take the last couple of years. We have athletes that won state championships in basketball, but they're playing lacrosse and soccer in college. And I think they're the athletes that are have shown that you can play more than one. I look at Kathy, you and BJ, who are two of the finest athletes that ever came to Irvington, and you both played 3 sports. And I think I think it's healthy right now. And I think to concentrate on one sport is very, very difficult. And we're not going to play, you know, how many people will play WNBA basketball or World Cup soccer or things like that? So I think that to do a whole lot of things and get a whole lot of disciplines, it can do nothing but help you. And again, it's been proven that injury-wise, it's very, very helpful to play more than one sport. So yes, Carol, you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a big part of a program that we have at the NBA, this junior NBA program that we do. We always talk about, you know, not specializing. You know, certainly as you get a little older, maybe there can be some of that. But for me, I played 3 sports in high school. I played 2 in college. I played tennis and basketball when I went to Hartford. And I mean, the friendships, the experiences, you can't replicate that. So it's, and I also think, I'm with BJ, like all of those options weren't available to me. I loved basketball, but you know, I played it during our season, and then I did other things. I mean, it would have been, you know, I always think about what that would have been like. I don't regret that, because I think for me it was the better experience was to play other sports. So
I would just say that when you girls used to come the first day when we used to make you do that mile run and you hated it, but everybody was always so excited to start basketball because they
I was not excited about the mile run.
No, you hated the mile run, but you weren't getting cut, so you know it was okay. You know?
But I still had to make it.
You had to make it. You had to do it.
Still had to
but
do it.
I also remember when your first trip to County Center, Gina. You know, after when we lost. And a lot of the younger kids who were playing AAU were really just not that upset about losing on that level. And how when they became seniors, they had a whole different attitude, because the year before they lost to Nanuet, they lost to them, and they'd beaten them twice. But they realized how wonderful it is to play for your school and to have the community and the school come out and really support you. And I think that was a real lesson for them. And I think it also set the tone for future teams.
And here's another thing that set the tone for future teams. Let's show this next photo. I want to show a little bit. This is just a sampling of the Gina Maher coaching tree.
Amazing.
And
that's all in our program.
Talk about how many former players you have over the years, in addition to the great Carol Dyer. You've had so many former players by your side as assistant coaches. Why was that important?
Oh, it's important because it's what it's about, and it brings continuity to the program. There have been 2 coaches that have coached in Irvington for a long time, Donna Devaney and Carol Dyer, who did not go to Irvington. Both of them are amazing assets to our program, incredible assets to our program, but they're also part of our school community. They're also teachers in our school. But every other coach that we have had has played for me or has gone to Irvington. Most of them, the only one that has not played for Irvington is Mike Toolan. And he didn't play for me, obviously.
He wanted to, though.
But he did want to. But I'm looking at Chrissy Little, Lisa Urban, Linda Getman, Kathy McMahon, Kathy Behrens, Kathleen Tetro now teaches art. And the 2 Toolan girls together, Kathy Toolan and BJ Toolan, Mary King. All those players played, they all played for me, along with some others, along with Denise Hamlin and Janice Bokikio, who's not there. Janice's niece is now playing for us. Half of these people up here also have daughters that are now playing for us. BJ's daughter has been playing for us for 3 years and will be on the varsity team next year. Kathy McMahon had 2 daughters that played for us. So it's just, I mean, that's what makes the program successful. The men in the back are also very important to it. They're teachers in the school. Billy Dyer, Rich Wallen, Gary Raimondo, and Martin Resendez, who now has been teaching our modified program and building things up. So it's all about family and people playing and doing it to just keep things going as part of a program that everybody built. And that's why it's so strong, is because all these people keep coming back.
Gina, remember how excited we were when we were able to have a modified team, a freshman team, a JV, and a varsity in our little Class C school? I mean, that was like really exciting for us.
It was huge.
And let's see what all that brings. I'm going to ask my colleague Gary to run through some photos here, just kind of quickly, keeping an eye on the clock. So you start to win now. Here are some winning teams. So let's take a look at this, and then I'm going to have BJ jump in on a few comments. So next one, this is like, you could see people in that photo. that was a great team. Lexi Martins, Riley Harrington, holy mackerel.
Yeah, they were great. That was the first one, right?
Yeah.
Lindsay Halpin. Just
Brittany Lai,
just great player. You just mentioned that the McMahons, the Shafazadis, whose mother played, right?
Played for you.
Mother and Ann played.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Laurel and Gilardi.
And your grandchildren.
And your grandchildren.
And your children, PJ.
PJ's kids. That's a county center. Next one.
That picture's
Morley.
all families.
Now you start to, there's Lindsay Halpin again. Grace as a freshman
youngster.
Probably there.
Yeah.
There's
next one.
Area.
They were a great group. Oh my Lord, look at them. They won a sectional. Nobody in the world thought that team was going to win sectional.
Nobody picked that group.
No, they really surprised everybody.
Yeah, they just played with guts and character.
Next one.
This is this team, the team that won the last state
The
championship.
last one, right? I mean,
and
that's
you are defending champs. Let us.
You are still right because you didn't.
Well,
that's the core 4 senior year, so that's 2018.
Oh, that's 2018. Okay, the following year.
You're a little short.
Thank you, BJ.
Okay. All right. So let's take this off for 1 second, and then BJ, I want you to. We're going to just talk for 2 more minutes before we move on to the next one. We're going to talk about Gina Maher for a second. We know how much she loves that. So here's the thing I always say when I bring people, especially that I know in the basketball world, to an Irvington game. Everybody remarks to me how well coached they are, and just how disciplined, how what team ball they play. So you've been now at Gina's side for 17 years as a coach. You obviously played for her. You're part of all the winning teams. What's different? What have you seen that's changed about how Gina approaches the coaching? Come on now.
Oh boy. You know what? I gotta say, her intent and her focus has always remained the same. And like I said before, she probably hates to lose a little bit more than I do. The lessons that she teaches along the way and that have developed as time's gone on here, that's probably, and you could hear it in my voice, I'm getting a little emotional about it. It's starting to mean more to her, I think, sort of at the tail end of her career here. And, it's less about basketball, still about winning, less about basketball, but more about the life lessons that she can teach to these girls and that I can help teach these girls about how to be a strong woman, and how to, and how to handle pressure and how to, and how to work together with other people. I mean, these lessons that she's taught me and that she's teaching all of these girls, it's just, you can't ask for anybody better. My respect for her is just immeasurable. So
she's the icon. Let's face it.
She is. She's the Irvington icon. So do we all. So here's just the next photo. I just want to. No, not yet. No, you can't yet. Show the next photo.
Together.
So Gina, I think even since my time, we've broken every huddle by saying together. When I played CYO, we used to say, "Lady of the Rim, make it go in." Together, such a much better motto. Do you know what I mean? Am I right? So
yeah, especially for the non-Catholics. Yeah.
Exactly. So talk about together and hold the rope.
Together, as you say, from day one, from Peggy and Patty and Judy and all those girls, until the last practice I had on the last day, we do say together all the time. And from that has evolved which is something we really go by, hold the rope. If anybody knows what it means to hold the rope, there's a whole thing about it. When you're holding a rope, and I'm holding my hands up like this, you hold the rope, you want the people next to you holding the rope to be strong and not let go. And who would you want to hold that rope with you? So now we all have to hold the rope and we hold it together. But anybody who's played for Irvington has held that rope. And now the whole Irvington girls basketball team, it's a rope that's really, really, really long now, but we're all still holding on to it. And it's very important to us that we do that. It's about team ball. It's about helping each other. It's about playing together. And it's about helping each other on and off the court. And again, you have to hold the rope. And who do you want to hold the rope with you? You want people that you can rely on, and you want to be able to rely on those other people. So that really is what our whole program is about, is playing together and holding the rope and being there for each other, not just during the games and during practices, but during high school and for the rest of our lives.
So here's the next photo.
That's what
I mean,
that's one
I just get chills even every time I see that photo, and I've seen it many times. It's just like, it is, I'm not even sure it doesn't matter what year that was. It's obviously at the county center.
People recognize that manicure, I bet.
I was just going to say that manicure.
I don't know. That could be, yeah, I don't know.
But that's a great, that shows everything. So take that photo down. I know we wanted to try to keep moving, so I'm going to keep us moving. Let's talk about, we've touched on it, but I think we want to spend a little more time just what the real legacy of the Irvington girls varsity basketball program is family, friends, and community. Let's show the next video.
Oh.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me.
Oh, look at them.
Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. It's the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me.
Oh, I'm crying.
Well, I knew you would be. Carol
You know
Dyer.
me.
I knew you would be. So if I had the chills before, that's all the feels right there. That's a great.
Okay.
Did you see how connected?
That Gina Maher Day, first of all, was fantastic and so much fun.
Tell people what Gina Maher Day was.
Okay, so the gym was named in Gina's honor, and Kathy, you had the NBA with the decal we had put down. We had so many people involved in that, and it was just like the alumni that showed up to play and be together, even though you had just delivered your twins and still got out there and played, but it was such an outpouring of love for you, Gina. That's my number one on the Gina Maher Day. But one of the and the Hall of Fame, when you got into the Westchester Hall of Fame, people came
that
from
crowd
all
of
over
people?
for that.
Holy
that was a lot of people. But really, my favorite day, which I felt like was a movie, when you won the Federation Championship with the first team, and you got inducted into the Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame up in Glens Falls. And we literally left the floor and went up to that room with everybody there. And it was just, I'll never forget it. It was just fantastic. I was so proud of you, and I love you so much.
But guys, the truth is, and I really mean, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. None of this is accomplished without all these people that have helped me and been with me the whole way. And obviously you three tremendously, and all the women that have coached with me, and all the families that have backed us. And you don't do it alone. There are a lot of people that go out and they try to do it. They can't do it unless, it takes a village, and it really does take a village. And I also think that all of us, and I look at the four of us, we've all had strong men who have backed us and allowed us to do what we do, and not only allowed us, but encouraged us to do it. And I think that is what this whole thing with women and success and everything is about, is that people have to believe, and it has to be everybody believing. It has to be men, women, children believing. And yeah, there are a lot of wins, but I'm the luckiest woman in the world because I have people like you, and I have a family like my own family, and it does take a village. And
bringing tissues to Carol.
My husband came in with the tissues for me because he sees me crying.
But, I've been so lucky, and every single girl who played for me, from the ones that didn't play a whole lot and came to practice and played their hearts out, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this is really about you. And this is about everything that you've accomplished. I've never scored a point. I've never gotten a rebound. I've never run up and down a court with an Irvington uniform on. But you guys have all done it for me, and you've made it incredibly wonderful for me. And I'll hold the rope for all of you forever. I love you.
Well, and we love you. But that I want to just say though, and I think just run a couple of photos here. We don't have to hold on them, but I do. Gina just talked about
I love
family.
That one.
And let's keep going to the next one. And the next one, I mean, this is like, I think to me, we all feel connected. You can go to the next one. That's the Hall of Fame when Gina became inducted into the Westchester. I mean, literally, look at all those people that came out for that. And we all agree, Gina, that like we've all been incredibly lucky in the family department, supportive parents and siblings and kids and husbands. But, I know for BJ and me, well, we've just had the best coach ever in the history of girls sports. So we win the prize. And I want to talk, you can take this photo down. I want to just talk one more second about sort of legacy a little bit. And I think, this is where I want BJ to jump into about, show the next photo. I want to show one thing here. This is one of the things I've always loved about Irvington. This was Gina's 700th win. So current players, like if you go to any game, there's always former players coming back to watch, and just there's no other place that has that connection. And we're there not only rooting on your new teams, but obviously rooting you on. And the next photo is some of the young kids. So it's the generations in this program are unbelievable. Let's show the next one.
Love that.
I mean, so you probably have in this photo, you probably have current players. BJ, your daughter, number 20, little Abby back there.
Number 20 on the end, yep. Amanda Ramondo's there. She's number 23. Alexia Donkov is coming through the program. She's in the blue there. Izzy Pichetti played for a little bit. Claire Brady, Caitlin Owen, and number 5 moved away. I wish she didn't because we need a point guard.
So, all right, let's take that
Anybody
photo down.
moving to the district?
I want to try to see if people do have questions, you can throw them up in the chat. Most people are just giving some praise, but if you do have a question, we're happy to try to answer it. But I do want to, BJ and Gina, you just talked a little bit about this, but But let's just talk a little for a second about why sports matters, and especially for girls, why, you know, why playing sports, why being a part of this program has mattered. And Carol, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, okay. I just think that just learning to work as a team, working with other people. I think with Gina, especially, there was always this very strong family aspect. And I mean, I know BJ's children, my children, little people. BJ was throwing my son Tommy around in the back room, porta pit room, when he was like 2 years old, when her sister was playing. But there was always that sense of being part of things. And I think that that is so important. It gives you confidence. It gives you courage. You learn to fight adversity. As Gina said, what do you do if something terrible happens? You have to come back and come back with it. And I think being part of a program like Irvington Girls Basketball is just something that you carry with you. As you said, Kathy, when you go to a game and it's all the alumni, and the town support, the community support, the school support, it's really like a really good feeling to have that.
I before I go to BJ, I'd be remiss if I didn't just remind everybody that every photo that we've shown that's been part of the video or part of the presentation here, I think every one of them was taken by Carol Dyer. So you not only have the connection to the program, but then you have these memories that you can look back on, because you have taken photos of every team for every year that Gina has been coaching. I mean, for me to be able to have photos of me playing basketball to show my kids and to put a part of this presentation, I'm not sure I'll live it down at work now that some of my work colleagues have seen it, but it is, I mean, it's just another example of how everybody helps each other out, so that you used to always give us those photos at the end of the season. And I mean, it's just incredible. So first of all, you're amazingly talented, brilliant photographer,
Thank you.
The love that you put into doing the photographs and taking these pictures for everybody over the years is just, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And so
my pleasure.
You.
Always my pleasure.
I just want to add to that, Carol, your pictures have put all those adjectives I was searching for to words. The hugs, the smiles, the victories, the athletes, you know, it's like, I don't know, it just, your pictures have done so much for us too. And I think I have more family photos of the teams, like my BCB family, than my family around. I was looking at all these pictures and they're all, you know, thanks to you. And it's so nice to be able to have all of those memories. It's awesome.
My fun.
Yeah. And then Kath, so what, you know, why, you know, what do sports mean for young girls? So I recently, and I love this poster, I think I saw, it says, you know, you throw like a girl. Well, good for you. Back in the day, like throwing like a girl, like I could probably throw a football, like, you know, 50 yards. Back in the day, I was like a tomboy, and not that it was frowned upon, but it was like, you know, a little bit, you know, like, you're sporty, you're jockey, whatever. These days, if you come up as a girl and you're athletic, man, you have it made. You are, you know, you're going to get the best trainers. You're going to be on the best teams, you know, and you're going to, you know, you're going to work hard and you're going to get places, you know. The one thing, you know, that you have if you're living in Irvington is the legacy of this program. And, you know, Gina, again, like she has just laid the foundation for an incredible future. You know, the young girls, I loved some of my most fun memories recently are having like just random dads. Like I'm at the Elmsford Little League ballpark watching my son play, and like a random dad will be like, hey, how's the team looking, you know, this year? And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I'll tell you about it. I love to talk about it. So, you know, just to have everybody supporting us now, you know, and again, the community.
But you know, somebody mentioned in the chat, one of the questions was that it wasn't always so. And sometimes you've had, you know, people with you know, critics, and everybody's got an opinion. How have you dealt with that over the years?
I know.
You're on the opposite side of the gym from Gina.
I know how. I just want to say real quick, yeah, everybody does have an opinion. And I always tell people, if like, you know, players and parents alike, listen, there's more than one way to do things. I'm going to go with the woman who has 742 wins, but you can have your opinion too. But that's what I usually tell them.
All right. I like that, BJ.
I'm going to side with Coach Maher.
I also think it's really important to listen to what people have to say. And I think that hopefully we've been open and listened to people. If people start to criticize my players without reason, especially if they're not their own children, it's horrible enough that they do their own children, then they do it with other children. I think we try to put a stop to that. But anything you do in life, whether it's basketball or going to the supermarket or whatever, people are not going to like the way you do it. And you have to try and reason with them and listen to them, and then carry on and do the best you can and do what you think is right. And I think that also is part of why it's important to play a sport or be in a play or sing in the chorus, because you learn that people aren't always going to like what you do. And that's the way it is in life. And it's going to make us stronger women. And it's going to empower us to, Kathy, you're the president of the NBA. Who would ever think that a female would be a president of the National Basketball Association? Yes, the WNBA.
None of my teachers in high school thought that would be happening.
Especially Mr. Simonson.
That is for sure, my friend, with your feet up on the desk. But I think that that's what's important about our program. And I think that Carol Dyer is an amazing photographer, which is so true. And she's now doing photography for Pearl River and other schools and things like that. But she has also, with that, brought to her teams and the teams that she's taking, male and female teams, that she's taking pictures of. She's brought another new thing to them, say, hey, this is what you're about, and this is here now, and you women can do that. And I think it's important. It's obviously, I have sons and I have grandsons, and I think it's very important to support men and say that they're equal, but we want to be where they are, and we want to be on an equal footing with them. And I think that sports does that, and I think hopefully our program has done that. And that's why the suffragette movement in 1972 with Title IX is so important to where we were and where we've come to. And again, we've had incredible support from the community, from the police, the fire, the rec department, George, from the administration, from the principals, and you don't do it on your own, but it's very important to have the program so that you can become the people that you want to become and be the women. And this is the year of suffragette again, as I said, and become the women that we know we need now. So I'm sorry if I carried on a little.
You didn't carry on at all.
No, you were great.
That was, as always, perfect. And I think I'll just try to wrap up because I know we got a couple of other things we want to show. And I know Scott Mosenthal's got some closing comments after we show one final video. But 1 second is just to say that, a couple of great comments in the chat from people and appreciation. I think, I'll just, for me, I've said this before to Gina and at other times, moving to Irvington was sort of the most transformative experience of my young life, partly because I not only found a home to now come back to and raise my kids, but being a part of this program, having these friends, having these life lessons that have stayed with me, that continue to help me every day at work and with the things that I do. It could all be traced back to being a part of and still being connected to this program. So we're gonna show one more video, and I think it might need a little bit of an example of an explanation, Gina. We're gonna show a video that has the song "Sweet Caroline." So tell everybody what's the significance of Sweet Caroline? I know the Red Sox like to play it, but why? Why are we going to play it?
You're going to play it because, well, first of all, I like to dance around the bus after a win, but from that
is the truth.
Right. It embraces what we're about. Who would ever thought this could happen is the way it starts out. But then in the middle, it's hands touching hands, reaching out, touching you, touching me. That's what it's about. And the kids on the team love it. And then as soon as it plays, Diz, who's our wonderful DJ at our home games, we'll play it towards the end of the game when he sort of knows, well, I think it's okay to play now. I think it's safe that we're going to win. And the kids all get excited. And again, and they'll put their hands up in the air and they'll touch each other. And it's one big family. And it's like, here we are. People maybe didn't believe a long time. People maybe didn't believe a long time ago that we could get where we are now. But if we touch each other and reach each other and understand each other, And it's also a great tune. And Neil he's a wonderful, wonderful
and
singer.
you can get up and dance. So again,
and
let me do two things. Thanks to the Irvington Historical Society. If you're not a member,
yes, thank
become
you.
a member. Like, great for them to put this program on. Thank you to all the people who tuned in and watched and shared some comments. We appreciate it. This was fun for us. We enjoyed our get-togethers to try to plan it. And then we're going to show this video. Stay, don't leave, because Scott Mosenthal is going to end with just a few important comments. And then the other thing I want to just say is this video is a little bit of everything that we talked about. So the early days, winning, family, community, the legacy of this program. And I hope it shows all of the people who watch how grateful we all are for this community, for the support that they've given to Irvington girls varsity basketball, and a little bit of love back. So let's wrap with Sweet Caroline.
Okay.
Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Hand, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. The night, and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurting runs off my shoulders, how can I hurt when holding you? Warm, touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good time never seems so good.
Oh, wow.
wow,
All right,
Very
it's all
nice.
yours.
aren't we lucky?
Yeah, I think we're all lucky. You know,
Okay, Jeffrey. Sorry.
the Historical Society always does our best to bring local history to life. But gosh, to have that kind of presentation and to all be a part of it from Irvington, what a blessing. You guys are just a gift to the Irvington Village, and we're really, really thankful you spent your time with us today. So again, my thanks to the Society, to Chet, to our audience, our, again, most impressive panelists. And ladies, you have indeed taken all of us for an unforgettable journey to the Irvington Hoops. What a treat. A reminder, the next Irvington Historical Society program will be January 24th at 2:00 p.m. and will feature Tom Tarnowski, who will be speaking about the Croton Aqueduct. We hope you can join us. Registration will be available on the Irvington Historical Society website. And also I'm reminded that this program you just watched, in case you know somebody in your family or a friend who didn't get to see it, this will be posted on the website in a few days or within the week perhaps. So please feel free to send it along to anybody who might want to see that. Once again, thanks to all and best wishes for a terrific holiday season. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.